Welcome back, everybody. My name is Mr. Best. I'm a third grade teacher at Joshua Dixon Elementary School in beautiful Columbiana, Ohio. I am back again for another episode of Mr. Best's educational videos. We've had some before, so this will be a new one. This will be talking about graphs, talking about data. So we're going to be starting off talking about bar graphs today. Okay, so we started the beginning of the year with our kids learning about bar graphs and how to collect data, gather data, and put it into a bar graph so they'll be able to read it, okay? So what we're going to do first is we're going to start figuring out the steps to completing a bar graph. Very first step we need to do, step one, is to gather information. Seems pretty simple, okay? So an easy way to gather information, how we start, is usually we do like some type of tally chart, okay? So if I have a tally chart, which I'll write right here, for this bar graph that we're going to make, that was a bad circle. This bar graph we're going to make, we're going to tally our favorite colors. Now we did this in the class before, but something easy to tally. So we have our favorite colors. So if we're going to make a bar graph first, I'm going to have the tally chart. Let's just say I'm going to take 3 colors. Let's do blue, let's do red, and let's do green. Okay? So based off how many people are voting for the bar graph, for the tally chart, we're going to determine our data. So right now, I'm just going to make up some fake numbers. Let's say we have 3 people like blue, 2 people like red, and let's have 5 people like green. Okay. So based off of step 1, we're going to take our information from the tally chart and put it into a bar graph. Okay. So once we have the information, we want to figure out step 2, which is creating a title. So based off our information from the tally chart, I kind of already gave you a little hint of what the title might be. But if we're going to start making a bar graph, we're going to create a title. So I think for this one will just be favorite colors. All right. So at the very top is where our title goes. Favorite colors. Okay. And I'll just underline it. The next step is we're going to take and add some labels or choices. Okay. So there can be different labels and choices, but for here, since we have the favorite colors, we want to make sure we put the colors in there. That would make sense, okay? And as we're making a bar graph, there are actually technically 2 types of bar graphs. There are vertical bar graphs and horizontal bar graphs. Vertical bar graphs have the bars that go up and down. Horizontal bar graphs have the bars that go left and right, okay? For right now, I'm just going to make a vertical bar graph. So I have my title. That's step 2. The step 1 was gathering information, so step 1 done. Step 2 done. Step 3 is to add choices or labels. So we have that so far. At the bottom, I want to make sure, I'm going to break this kind of into a graph here. So at the bottom here, I'm going to make sure I put my colors. Let's just say I have blue here, and I have red here, and I have green here. Okay? So now we have the choices. The other labels we need to do is to add some of the stuff for our scales. Now, based off our numbers, our scales aren't going to be super big because we don't have a lot of big numbers. But as you get into other scales and other graphs, we might have some bigger scales. But right now, I think right now on this side is what we're going to be to keep our scale. I think we're just going to go by 1s because we could count by 2s. We could count by 5s, but it's going to be a little confusing. So I think just counting by 1s is going to be pretty easy. So I'm going to determine that's going to be 1, a little higher is going to be 2, a little higher is going to be 3, a little higher is going to be 4, a little higher is going to be 5. Okay? So since we're making a bar graph, we need to use bars to color them in. That makes sense. And we're making a vertical bar graph. Okay? So I'm going to change colors real quick and show you what the bars would look like. So we have step 1 done. We gathered the information. Step 2, we created a title. Step 3, we are starting to add our labels and our choices. Step 4, we have determined our scale. We're good there based off our tally chart. So it actually makes sense. And we're going to go into step 5. We're going to start actually adding the information, adding the numbers, and then step 6 goes into drawing the graph. We kind of do those at the same time. So if I look at my tally chart, I count tallies 1, 2, 3. I'm going to make my bar graph go up to only 3. So if I'm making the bar, I like to just make a line first and then some type of, you can color it in a little bit. Okay. So just looking at this graph so far, I know exactly that my blue voting for the favorite color is going to be 3. Red's only going to be 2, so I'm going to go across to 2, make my vertical bar graph. And green is 5, so I'm going to make it as close as I can to 5 and slightly colored in. Okay? So right there, you have a vertical bar graph. We have everything in there. So if I were to look here and look exactly at my graph, I know exactly the title. I know my labels. I know my scale. I am drawing my graph. All the information from what we gathered in the blue, the red, and the green for our favorite colors. Okay? So that's the vertical bar graph. The next part, I'm going to take the same information, but I'm just going to use a horizontal bar graph, and nothing much changes. And I'll show you by nothing much changes. Some things do, but nothing much changes. So I'm going to go ahead and erase what we have so far. I'm going to keep this here. Okay. I'm going to keep my title because it's the same graph, but I'm just making a different type of graph. I'm making, instead of a vertical bar graph, I'm going to make a horizontal bar graph. Same tally chart information. Okay. So in horizontal bar graphs, you're going to go left and right with our bars. So instead of having the blue, red, green on the bottom side, we're going to have it over here. We're going to have blue here. We're going to have red here. And we're going to have green here. Okay? We had the scale here before. We're going to move the scale down to here to make sure this is 1. About here is 2. Here's 3, here's 4, and about here is 5. Okay? So, same rules apply. Take my data I gathered from my tally chart. I like to start with the top one, so I go to blue. Looking from here, I know this line isn't perfectly straight, but I can kind of figure out, actually, what? Let me make it straight. It'll look nicer. It's all about looking nicer. Blue, we know it goes to 3, so about right here is when I'm going to move my bar and color in. Red, it was 2 and color in. And green, which was our biggest vote, which is my favorite color, is 5. Okay? So we just made 2 bar graphs with the same information. We made a vertical bar graph and a horizontal bar graph. Same information. Okay? Next video, which you'll see here in a little bit, if you click on it, we're going to be getting into pictographs. Okay? And then we'll also talk about some other questions we could get with some of the other graphs. So stay tuned for the next one. Good luck, good math. I'm Mr. Best. Watch as many times as you need to.